Hey everyone, this is Froggy French, and today we are diving into 9 absolutely shocking family stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about trust and loyalty. From secret financial betrayals to devastating affairs that tear families apart, these Reddit stories reveal the dark side of family dynamics that most people try to keep hidden. If you are ready for some serious family drama that will leave you speechless, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories like these. Drop a comment below and let us know where you are listening from. We love hearing from our amazing community around the world. My parents secretly funded my sister's medical school but refused to help me. I am 32 years old and I just found out something that has completely shattered my relationship with my parents. My sister Emma is 29 and just finished her residency last month. She is a doctor now, and everyone in the family is so proud of her. I have always been proud of her too, don't get me wrong, but yesterday I was helping my mom organize some old paperwork and I came across bank statements from about 8 years ago. There were multiple transfers to Emma's university, each one for about $15,000. I counted them up and it came to around $120,000 total. My parents paid for her entire medical school. When I was 22 and wanted to go to graduate school for my master's in engineering, my parents told me they couldn't help me financially. They said I was smart and resourceful enough to figure it out on my own. They said Emma needed more support because she struggled more academically. I took out student loans and worked 2 part-time jobs to pay for school. I am still paying off those loans 10 years later. I confronted my mom about the bank statements, and she got really defensive. She said they didn't want to tell me because they knew I would be upset. She said Emma's medical school was more expensive and she needed the help more than I did. She said I was always the independent one who could handle things alone. I asked her why they thought it was fair to give Emma over $100,000 while giving me nothing. She said life isn't always fair and they had to make difficult decisions as parents. She said I should be happy for Emma's success instead of being jealous. I called Emma to talk to her about it, and she already knew I found out. She said she never asked them to keep it secret from me, but she didn't think it was her place to tell me either. She said she is grateful for their help, but she understands why I am upset. Now, I don't know how to feel about my family anymore. I feel like they have been lying to me for years. I feel like they love Emma more than they love me. But maybe I am being unreasonable because Emma did become a doctor, and that benefits society more than my engineering degree. I haven't talked to my parents since yesterday, and they keep calling me. My dad left me a voicemail saying I am being dramatic and that I should appreciate everything they did give me growing up. He said they gave me a good education through high school, and that should be enough. Am I wrong to feel betrayed by this? Should I just accept that parents sometimes have to make these kinds of choices? Wow, this one really hits close to home because I have siblings too, and I know how painful favoritism can feel. The fact that your parents kept this secret for 8 years makes it so much worse than if they had just been honest from the beginning. I don't think you are being dramatic at all. $120,000 is a huge amount of money, and the excuse that Emma needed more help because she struggled academically doesn't really make sense when you were both asking for educational support. It sounds like your parents made their choice based on who they thought would have the more prestigious career, which is pretty unfair. I hope you can work this out with them, but honestly, they owe you a massive apology. Let's see what the next story brings us. Am I the asshole for not inviting my mother-in-law to my children's birthday parties? I am a 28-year-old father of 2 kids, ages 5 and 3. My wife Sarah is 26, and we have been married for 7 years. The issue is with Sarah's mother, Linda, who is 54. Linda has some very strong opinions about how we should raise our children, and she is not shy about sharing them. Every time she comes over, she criticizes something Sarah is doing. She says Sarah is too lenient with discipline, that our house is too messy, that we feed the kids too much junk food, that we let them watch too much television. But the worst part is the gifts she brings. For our son's 4th birthday last year, she brought him a toy gun that made loud shooting sounds and flashing lights. We had specifically asked family members not to give him violent toys. When we politely mentioned this, she said we were being too sensitive and that boys need to play with boy toys. For our daughter's 2nd birthday, she brought her a baby doll that came with bottles and diapers, even though our daughter was not interested in dolls at all. She loves cars and trucks. Linda said she needed to learn to be more feminine and that we were confusing her by letting her play with boy toys. The last straw was at our son's 5th birthday party 2 months ago. Linda made several comments throughout the party about how Sarah had gained weight since having kids and how she should try harder to lose it. She said it loud enough for other family members to hear. Sarah was mortified and cried in the bathroom. So when we started planning our daughter's third birthday party for next month, I told Sarah that I don't think we should invite Linda. I said she has shown repeatedly that she cannot respect our parenting choices or treat Sarah with basic kindness. Sarah agrees with me, but she is worried about the family drama this will cause. Linda is very close with Sarah's father and her two brothers. They all think Linda means well and that we should just ignore her comments. Sarah's brother called me yesterday and said I was being too harsh. He said Linda loves the kids and just wants what is best for them. He said family is family and we should not exclude her from important events. He said Sarah is too sensitive and needs to develop thicker skin. But I feel like I have a responsibility to protect my wife and children from Linda's constant criticism. The birthday parties should be happy celebrations, not opportunities for Linda to make everyone uncomfortable with her comments. Sarah's father also called and said he is disappointed in me. He said I am driving a wedge between Sarah and her family. He said Linda raised 3 successful children, so she knows what she is talking about when it comes to parenting advice. Now I am wondering if I am being too extreme. Maybe I should just have a serious conversation with Linda about boundaries instead of excluding her completely. But we have tried to set boundaries before, and she just ignores them. Am I the asshole for not inviting my mother-in-law to my daughter's birthday party? Oh man, this is such a tough position to be in because family dynamics are so complicated. But honestly, you are absolutely not the asshole here. Linda sounds like she crosses way too many boundaries, and the comment about Sarah's weight at a kid's birthday party is just unacceptable. It's your house and your children's celebration, so you get to decide who creates a positive environment and who doesn't. I think you are being a good husband by protecting Sarah from that kind of treatment. The family members defending Linda are probably just trying to keep the peace, but sometimes peace isn't worth the emotional damage. Maybe she will learn to respect boundaries if there are actual consequences for her behavior. Hopefully the next situation is a little less stressful to deal with. I exposed my perfect sister's cheating at prom and ruined her reputation. I am 17 years old and a junior in high school. My sister Katie is 18 and a senior. She is supposed to be the golden child of our family. She gets straight A grades, she is student council president, she volunteers at the animal shelter, and she is dating the quarterback of the football team. My parents never stop talking about how proud they are of Katie and how she is such a good role model for me. They compare everything I do to what Katie did when she was my age. When I get B grades, they ask why I can't be more like Katie, who never got anything below an A. When I don't want to do extracurricular activities, they remind me that Katie was involved in 5 different clubs. But I have known for over a year that Katie is not as perfect as everyone thinks she is. I discovered by accident that she has been buying her essays and homework assignments from older students who already graduated. She pays them like $50 per essay and then turns them in as her own. Work I found out because I was using her laptop one day when mine was broken. And I saw messages on her social media from a guy named Marcus who graduated 2 years ago. He was asking if she needed any more history papers, and she was asking about prices for upcoming assignments. I scrolled through their conversation history and saw that she had been doing this since sophomore year. I never said anything because I didn't know how to bring it up, and I didn't want to get her in trouble. But it has been eating at me for months, especially when my parents keep praising her for being so smart and hardworking while criticizing me for not measuring up to her standards. Last weekend was prom night, and Katie was prom queen, obviously. During the prom king and queen speeches, she gave this whole talk about the importance of hard work and determination, and how students should never give up on their dreams. She said her success in school came from dedication and countless hours of studying. I was so angry listening to her lie to everyone that I decided I couldn't stay quiet anymore. After the speeches, I went up to some of her classmates and told them about the essay buying. I showed them screenshots I had taken from her laptop months ago as proof. The news spread around the prom really quickly. By the end of the night, most people knew about it. Someone must have told a teacher because on Monday morning, Katie was called to the principal's office. They investigated and found evidence of plagiarism in her assignments. Now Katie is facing serious consequences. She might not graduate on time, her college admission could be revoked, and she lost her student council position. The whole family is furious with me. My parents say I have ruined Katie's future out of jealousy and spite. Katie is devastated and hasn't spoken to me since Monday. She says I have destroyed her life and that she will never forgive me. She says she only cheated because the pressure from our parents to be perfect was too overwhelming and she was scared of disappointing them. My parents grounded me and took away my phone and car privileges. They say I should have come to them privately instead of humiliating Katie publicly. They say siblings should protect each other, not tear each other down. Part of me feels bad because I know this will affect the rest of Katie's life, but part of me feels like she deserved to face consequences for her actions. She has been getting credit for work she didn't do, while I have been struggling and getting criticized for not being as smart as her. Did I go too far by exposing her at prom? Should I have handled this differently? Whoa, this is such a messy situation, and I can feel the years of frustration just boiling over in this moment. I mean, Katie was literally giving a speech about hard work while knowing she cheated her way to the top, which is pretty hypocritical. But exposing her at prom in front of everyone was definitely the nuclear option. I understand why you were so angry, though, because living in someone's shadow when you know they are not as perfect as everyone thinks must be incredibly frustrating. The pressure she was under from your parents doesn't excuse the cheating, but it does explain it. I think this whole family needs some serious conversations about expectations and honesty. This next story hopefully has a bit less family drama. I found evidence my husband is cheating with another mom from our son's school. I am 42 years old, and I have been married to my husband, David, for 15 years. We have a 10-year-old son named Jake. David is 45 and works in sales. I thought we had a good marriage until about 3 weeks ago. I was doing laundry and found a receipt in David's pants pocket from a restaurant downtown that I'd never been to. The receipt was for 2 meals and 2 glasses of wine on a Thursday afternoon, which was strange because David told me he was working late that day. The total was $87, which seemed expensive for a business lunch. I didn't think too much about it at first, but then I started noticing other small things. David was taking more phone calls outside, and he started keeping his phone face down when he was home. He also started going to the gym more often, sometimes 3 times a week instead of his usual once a week. Last week, I was picking Jake up from soccer practice, and I saw David's car in the parking lot of a coffee shop across from the school. I thought maybe he was getting coffee while waiting to pick up Jake, but when I looked through the window, I saw him sitting at a table with Linda, who is the mother of one of Jake's classmates. They were holding hands across the table and David was stroking her arm. Linda was laughing at something he said, and she had her other hand on his leg. It was definitely not a casual conversation between 2 parents. I sat in my car for about 10 minutes watching them. They looked very comfortable together, like they had done this many times before. When they got up to leave, David kissed her on the cheek and they walked to their cars together. I felt sick to my stomach. I drove home without confronting them because I didn't know what to say. Jake was with me, and I didn't want him to see me upset. Since then, I've been watching David more carefully, and I think this has been going on for months. There are too many late nights at work, too many unexplained expenses, too many times his story doesn't quite add up. The worst part is that I know Linda's husband, Tom. We have been to several school events together, and our families have had playdates. Tom seems like a really nice guy, and he has no idea what is happening. Their daughter Emma is friends with Jake, and she comes over to our house sometimes. I don't know if I should confront David directly, or if I should try to get more evidence first. I also don't know if I should tell Tom what I saw. If I tell Tom, it will definitely blow up both of our families and affect our children's friendships. But if I don't tell Tom, I feel like I am helping David and Linda continue to deceive him. Tom deserves to know that his wife is cheating on him, just like I deserve to know that my husband was cheating on me. I also keep wondering how long this has been going on, and if other parents at the school know about it. I feel humiliated thinking that people might be talking about my husband's affair behind my back. Should I confront David first, or should I tell Tom what I saw? How do I protect Jake from the fallout of this situation? This is absolutely heartbreaking, because you are dealing with so many layers of betrayal and deception at once. The fact that it involves another family from your son's school makes it even more complicated because your kids are friends. I think you need to confront David first and get the full truth before you make any decisions about telling Tom. You deserve answers, and David needs to face what he has done. The situation with Tom is really difficult because he does deserve to know, but you also have to think about how it will affect all the children involved. maybe consider talking to a counselor or therapist who can help you navigate this situation. This is such a painful discovery, and I hope you have good support around you. Let's move on to something that hopefully has a bit more closure. I think my mother has been manipulating our family for years. I am 26 years old, and I am starting to realize that my mother might not be the victim she has always claimed to be. My name is Alex, and my mom is Sandra. She is 58 years old. I have 2 siblings, my brother Mike, who is 28, and my sister Rachel, who is 24. Growing up, my mom always told us stories about how other family members were treating her badly. She would cry and tell us about arguments she had with my dad's family, with her own siblings, with neighbors, with coworkers. She always presented herself as the innocent person who was being attacked or mistreated by everyone else. My dad left when I was 12, and my mom always told us it was because his family turned him against her. She said they poisoned his mind and made him believe lies about her. She said she tried everything to save the marriage, but his family sabotaged their relationship. Over the years, we became very protective of my mom because we believed she was constantly being victimized by other people. We cut off contact with most of my dad's family because my mom said they were trying to turn us against her too. But lately, I have been noticing some inconsistencies in my mom's stories. Last month, she told me that my Aunt Carol, who is my dad's sister, called her and said terrible things about our family. She was crying and said Carol threatened to call child services on her when we were kids. The weird thing is that I happened to run into Carol at the grocery store a few days later, and she seemed genuinely happy to see me. She said she had been hoping to reconnect with me and my siblings for years. She said she never understood why we suddenly stopped talking to that side of the family. When I asked Carol about the phone call, she looked confused. She said she hasn't spoken to my mom in over 10 years and would never threaten to call child services. She seemed hurt that I would even ask about that. This made me start thinking about other stories my mom has told us over the years. I started asking my siblings if they ever witnessed any of the incidents my mom described. Mike and Rachel said they never actually saw most of the confrontations my mom talked about. They only heard her version of events afterward. I also realized that my mom has a pattern of creating drama between different family members. She will tell me that Mike said something negative about me, and then tell Mike that I said something negative about him. When we compare notes later, we realized that neither of us actually said those things. Last week, I decided to reach out to some of my mom's old friends that she claimed had betrayed or abandoned her. I found 2 of them on social media and asked them about their falling out with my mom. Both of them said that my mom had accused them of things they never did and then cut off contact when they tried to defend themselves. One friend, Jenny, said that my mom told everyone in their friend group that Jenny was talking behind her back and spreading rumors. Jenny said she never did any of those things and was confused when my mom suddenly became cold and hostile toward her. The more I investigate, the more I realize that my mom might be the common denominator in all of these failed relationships. She might have been lying to us and manipulating situations to make herself look like the victim, while actually being the one causing the problems. But I feel crazy even thinking this, because my mom has always been so emotional and convincing when she tells her stories. She cries real tears and seems genuinely hurt by these situations. How do I know if I am imagining things, or if she really has been manipulating us? I am scared to confront her because I don't know how she will react. I am also scared that if I am wrong about this, I will damage my relationship with my mom permanently. But if I am right, it means our whole family dynamic has been built on lies. What should I do with this information? How can I protect my siblings from being manipulated without destroying our family? Oh my goodness. This gave me chills because psychological manipulation can be so hard to detect when it is happening slowly over many years. The fact that you are starting to piece together a pattern by actually talking to the other people involved is really smart detective work. It sounds like your mom might have some serious issues with creating conflict and then positioning herself as the victim. The crying and emotional reactions don't mean she is telling the truth. Some people are very good at manipulating emotions to get sympathy. I think you should definitely share your findings with Mike and Rachel because they deserve to know what you discovered. This kind of family manipulation can really mess with your ability to trust your own perceptions. Moving on to what I hope is a less psychologically complex situation. My sister invited our abusive father to my wedding without telling me. I am 29 years old, and I am getting married next Saturday. My fiance Mark and I have been planning this wedding for over a year, and it is supposed to be the happiest day of my life. But now I am completely stressed out because of something my sister did. My sister Amy is 31 years old, and she has always had a complicated relationship with our father. Our dad, Robert, is an alcoholic who was physically and emotionally abusive when we were growing up. He would hit us when he was drunk, scream at us for small mistakes, and say horrible things about our mother. When I turned 18, I decided to cut all contact with my father. I blocked his phone number, I don't accept mail from him, and I haven't spoken to him in 11 years. Amy chose to maintain some contact with him, which I respect even though I don't understand it. Amy knows how I feel about our father, and she has never pressured me to reconcile with him. She visits him maybe twice a year and calls him on holidays, but she doesn't talk to me about those interactions because she knows it upsets me. Yesterday, I was doing final preparations for the wedding, and Amy seemed nervous about something. I kept asking her what was wrong, and she finally admitted that she invited our father to the wedding. She said she felt bad about him missing such an important day in my life, and she thought maybe it was time for our family to heal. I was shocked and angry. I told Amy that this was my wedding, and she had no right to invite someone I specifically did not want there. She said she already sent him the invitation 3 weeks ago, and he confirmed that he would be attending. Amy started crying and said she thought I would change my mind once I heard that he was coming. She said our father has been sober for 2 years now, and he wants to make amends with both of us. She said he asked about me every time she visits, and he seems genuinely regretful about the past. I told Amy that I don't care if he has been sober for 10 years. He traumatized me throughout my childhood, and I don't want him at my wedding. I said the wedding is supposed to be surrounded by people who love and support me, not people who hurt me. Amy said I am being unfair and that our father deserves a chance to be part of important family moments. She said holding grudges is unhealthy and that I should try to forgive him. She said she was trying to do something good for our family. I called our father's phone number, which Amy gave me, and told him that he was not welcome at my wedding. He said he understood, but he sounded disappointed. He said he had been hoping to see me get married and maybe have a conversation about making things right between us. Now I am worried that he will show up anyway, even though I uninvited him. I don't want to have security at my wedding, but I might have to if he decides to come. I also don't know if I can trust Amy anymore because she went behind my back on something so important. Amy says she is sorry and that she was just trying to help, but I feel like she completely betrayed my trust. Mark is supportive of whatever I decide to do, but he is also worried about drama at our wedding. My mom thinks I should have a conversation with my father before the wedding to clear the air, but I don't want to reopen that relationship just because other people think I should. Should I forgive Amy for inviting him? Should I consider letting my father come to the wedding? How do I make sure my wedding day is not ruined by this situation? This is such a violation of your boundaries, and I am so sorry you have to deal with this stress right before your wedding day. Amy definitely overstepped here, even if her intentions were good. Your wedding day is about you and Mark, not about healing family relationships or giving your father chances he hasn't earned. The fact that you have maintained no contact for 11 years shows how serious the abuse was, and nobody gets to decide when you should forgive or reconnect except you. I think you handled it perfectly by calling your father and uninviting him directly. Maybe consider having a friend or family member keep an eye out at the wedding just in case he shows up anyway. Focus on celebrating with the people who have actually supported you through your life. Let's hope the next story is about someone standing up for themselves, too. Am I the asshole for refusing to lend my brother money again? I am 31 years old, and my brother Kevin is 28. Kevin has been asking me for money regularly for the past 5 years, and I am finally at the point where I want to say no permanently. The first time Kevin asked me for money was in 2019 when he said he needed $3,000 to fix his car so he could get to work. I lent him the money, and he promised to pay me back within 6 months. He never paid me back, and whenever I brought it up, he said he was still struggling financially and would pay me when he could. The second time was in 2021 when he said he needed $5,000 to cover rent for 3 months because he lost his job during the pandemic. I felt bad for him because so many people were struggling at that time, so I lent him the money. Again, he promised to pay me back, but never did. The third time was last year when he said he needed $4,000 for dental work that his insurance wouldn't cover. He said he was in pain and couldn't afford the treatment otherwise. I lent him the money, even though he still hadn't paid back the previous loans. So far, Kevin owes me $12,000, and he has never made a single payment toward any of these debts. Meanwhile, I see him posting on social media about expensive dinners, concerts he attends, and vacations he takes with his girlfriend. Last week, Kevin called me and said he needs $15,000 to save his business. He started a landscaping company 2 years ago, and he says he is behind on equipment payments and supplier bills. He said if he doesn't get the money within the next month, he will have to close the business, and all his hard work will be wasted. I told Kevin that I can't lend him any more money until he pays back what he already owes me. He got angry and said I was being unreasonable because this is an emergency that could affect his entire future. He said the other loans were for personal expenses, but this is for his business, so it is more important. Kevin said he would definitely pay me back this time because the business will start making more money once he gets caught up on his payments. He said I should think of it as an investment in his success rather than just a loan. I told him I had heard these promises before, and I don't believe him anymore. I said I am not comfortable lending money to someone who has never paid me back and who seems to spend money on entertainment while claiming to be broke. Kevin said I was being a terrible brother and that family should help each other during difficult times. He said I make good money at my engineering job, so $15,000 wouldn't hurt me financially. He said I was being selfish and greedy. My parents called me yesterday and said Kevin told them about our conversation. They think I should help him save his business because it represents his dream and his chance to build something meaningful. They said family is more important than money and that I should give Kevin another chance. My mom said Kevin has learned from his mistakes and that his business really is struggling. She said if I don't help him, he might lose everything and end up in a worse situation than before. But I feel like Kevin sees me as a personal bank rather than a brother. I work hard for my money and I have my own financial goals and responsibilities. I want to buy a house next year, and I need to save for that. I also think that constantly bailing Kevin out is preventing him from learning how to manage money responsibly. Maybe if he faces real consequences for his poor financial decisions, he will make better choices in the future. Am I the asshole for refusing to lend Kevin money this time? Should I help him save his business even though he never paid back previous loans? Absolutely not the asshole here. You have already lent Kevin $12,000, and he has shown zero effort to pay any of it back while clearly having money for entertainment and vacations. That is not how borrowing money from family is supposed to work. The fact that he is now asking for 15,000 more shows that he sees you as a free money source rather than someone making sacrifices to help him. Your parents mean well, but they are enabling Kevin's irresponsible behavior by pressuring you to keep giving him money without consequences. You have every right to protect your own financial goals and future. Maybe Kevin will finally learn to manage his money properly if people stop bailing him out every time he makes poor decisions. Hopefully this next story shows someone getting the justice they deserve. I pressed charges against my sister-in-law for identity theft. I am 38 years old and married to my husband Tom for 12 years. We have twin daughters who are 8 years old. The issue is with Tom's sister Jessica, who is 35 and has always been irresponsible with money. Jessica has filed for bankruptcy twice. She has terrible credit, and she can never seem to hold down a steady job. She is always asking family members for money, and she has borrowed from pretty much everyone at some point. About 6 months ago, I started receiving credit card bills in the mail for accounts I had never opened. At first, I thought it was a mistake, or maybe identity theft by a stranger. But when I called the credit card companies to dispute the charges, I learned that someone had used my daughter's social security numbers to open the accounts. The applications were submitted online, using my daughter's names and social security numbers, but the address was Jessica's apartment. The person who opened the accounts also used Jessica's phone number and email address as the contact information. I immediately knew it was Jessica, because she is the only person outside of our immediate family who has access to my daughter's personal information. She helped me fill out school enrollment forms last year when I was dealing with a family emergency, and she would have seen their social security numbers on those documents. When I confronted Jessica about it, she broke down crying and admitted that she had opened the credit cards using the girls' identities. She said she was desperate and didn't know what else to do. She said she was behind on rent and her utilities were about to be shut off. Jessica begged me not to tell Tom or the rest of the family. She promised she would pay off the credit cards and close the accounts immediately. She said it was a one-time mistake and that she would never do anything like this again. I told Jessica that identity theft is a serious crime and that using children's social security numbers makes it even worse. I said she had damaged my daughter's credit before they are even old enough to understand what credit means. Jessica said she didn't realize it would affect the girls' credit scores because they are only 8 years old. She said she thought children's social security numbers were just numbers that didn't matter until they became adults. I gave Jessica 1 week to pay off the credit cards and provide me with documentation that the accounts were closed. When the week was up, she had only made minimum payments on 2 of the 4 cards, and the other 2 were still active. That's when I decided to file a police report and press charges for identity theft. I also contacted the credit bureaus to place fraud alerts on my daughter's social security numbers. Tom was devastated when he found out what Jessica had done. He said he couldn't believe his own sister would steal from children. But he also asked me to consider dropping the charges because Jessica is family and she is clearly struggling. Tom's parents are furious with me for involving the police. They said I should have handled this privately within the family. They said pressing charges will ruin Jessica's life and make it even harder for her to find work and get back on her feet. Jessica's ex-husband called me and said I am destroying any chance she has of getting custody of her daughter back. He said the criminal charges will be used against her in family court, and she might lose visitation rights with her child. The rest of Tom's family is split on the issue. Some of them think I did the right thing, but others think I went too far by involving law enforcement. They say family problems should be resolved within the family, not through the court system. But I feel like Jessica committed a serious crime against my children, and there need to be real consequences. She violated their privacy, damaged their credit, and put our family at financial risk. If I don't press charges, what message does that send about protecting my daughters? Jessica is now facing felony charges, and she might go to jail. Part of me feels bad because I know this will have serious consequences for her life. But part of me thinks she should have considered those consequences before she decided to steal from children. Am I wrong to press charges against my sister-in-law? Should I have tried to handle this privately instead of involving the police? You are absolutely not wrong here, and I am honestly shocked that Tom's family is pressuring you to drop the charges. Jessica committed identity theft against 8-year-old children, which is not just stealing money, but potentially damaging their financial futures before they even start their adult lives. The fact that she only made minimum payments on 2 cards after promising to fix everything shows she was never planning to take full responsibility. Family or not, there have to be consequences for criminal behavior, especially when it involves children. If anything, you are protecting other potential victims because Jessica clearly has no boundaries when it comes to financial desperation. The family court situation is unfortunate, but that is a consequence of Jessica's choices, not yours. Let's see what kind of betrayal comes up in this final story. My wife has been having an affair with my brother for 2 years. I am 33 years old, and I just discovered that my whole life has been a lie. My wife Sarah is 31, and we have been married for 9 years. My brother Mike is 36, and he has been my closest friend my entire life. 2 weeks ago, I was using Sarah's laptop because mine was being repaired, and I accidentally opened her email instead of mine. There was an email thread between Sarah and Mike that made my blood run cold. They were talking about meeting at a hotel that afternoon and discussing how much they missed each other since their last time together. I scrolled through months of emails and found evidence that they have been having an affair for at least 2 years. The emails were explicit and romantic, talking about being in love and wishing they could be together openly. They discussed my work schedule and planned their meetings around times when I would be out of town for business. The worst part was reading Mike's emails where he talked about feeling guilty but saying that he couldn't stay away from Sarah. He wrote that he loved her more than he had ever loved anyone and that he wished I would just disappear so they could be together without complications. Sarah wrote back saying that she loved Mike too, but that she didn't want to hurt me or break up the family. She said they should probably stop seeing each other, but then in the next email, she would be planning their next meeting. I printed out the emails and confronted Sarah that evening. She immediately started crying and admitted everything. She said the affair started at Mike's birthday party 2 years ago when they both had too much to drink. She said it was supposed to be a one-time mistake, but they kept seeing each other because they had developed real feelings. Sarah said she never meant for it to happen and that she still loves me, but she also loves Mike. She said she has been torn between us for 2 years and didn't know how to choose. She begged me to forgive her and said she would end things with Mike if we could work on our marriage. But I was even more angry when I confronted Mike the next day. He didn't seem sorry at all. He said he was actually relieved that I finally found out because he was tired of sneaking around. He said he and Sarah are truly in love and that I should step aside and let them be happy together. Mike said that Sarah only stayed with me out of guilt and obligation, not because she really wanted to be married to me. He said I deserved to know the truth so I could move on with my life and find someone who actually wanted to be with me. The most devastating part is that I discovered that my entire extended family knew about the affair and chose not to tell me. My sister Lisa admitted that she saw Mike and Sarah holding hands at a restaurant 6 months ago. My parents said they suspected something was going on, but didn't want to get involved in our marriage problems. Even my best friend from college, David, said he noticed that Mike and Sarah seemed unusually close at family gatherings, but he thought I already knew and was okay with it. He said he didn't want to cause drama by bringing it up. I feel like everyone in my life has been lying to me and treating me like a fool. They all knew that my wife and my brother were betraying me in the worst possible way, and they chose to protect the affair instead of protecting me. Sarah has moved out of our house and is staying with her sister while we figure out what to do next. She keeps texting me saying that she wants to work on our marriage and that she will never see Mike again. But I don't know how I can ever trust her after 2 years of lies and deception. Mike has been calling me and leaving voicemails saying that he wants to talk and explain himself. He says I should understand that love is complicated and that no one meant for this to happen. He says we can still be brothers if I can forgive him and move past this. But I don't think I can ever forgive either of them. Every memory I have of the past 2 years is now tainted. Every family gathering, every holiday, every time Mike came over for dinner, they were probably thinking about their secret relationship. I feel like I don't even know who these people are anymore. My lawyer says I have grounds for divorce, and that Sarah's affair will probably work in my favor for the settlement. But I don't even care about the money right now. I just want to understand how two people who claim to love me could betray me so completely. I am thinking about moving to a different city and starting over somewhere far away from all of these people. I can't imagine having to see Mike and Sarah together at future family events, or having to pretend like everything is normal. Should I try to work on my marriage like Sarah wants? Should I give Mike a chance to explain himself? How do I rebuild my life after discovering that everyone I trusted has been lying to me? This is absolutely gut-wrenching, and I cannot imagine the pain of discovering that not only were your wife and brother having an affair, but your entire family knew about it and said nothing. That level of betrayal from so many people at once would make anyone question everything they thought they knew about their relationships. The fact that Mike isn't even sorry and thinks you should just step aside so they can be happy together shows what kind of person he really is. I don't think you should try to work on the marriage, because how can you ever trust Sarah again after 2 years of elaborate deception? And honestly, moving to a different city sounds like a really healthy way to get a fresh start, away from all these toxic people who failed you so badly. You deserve so much better than this whole situation. Thanks so much for sticking with us through all 9 of these incredibly intense family stories, each one more shocking than the last. We would love to hear your thoughts on these situations in the comments below, especially which story hit you the hardest. Remember to check out the Google form link in our description, where you can submit your own anonymous stories for us to feature in upcoming videos. Your personal experiences could help others going through similar situations, and we will always read them completely anonymously to protect your privacy. Do not forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this content and want more real stories from real people. Good night, everyone, and see you in the next video.